All praises to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who rule well. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Now, I wanted to talk about basically, there's a story, couple stories actually, and I've realized recently because of COVID and everything like that, I see a lot more people begging. Now, when E asks me for change, I don't really give them change. It's not like I've not done it before. I just remember a time where I was living in like a hostel. Upwards to the Most High, I just found something I was looking for. I was living in a hostel, and some woman asked me for 50p or something like that because she needed to go visit her child that was in hospital. So she said, and when I got back to the hostel, I saw her in there. So clearly she was a crackhead and she took my money. I didn't ask for it back, but that made me very wary of giving people money. And I've always been wanting to help people when they need help, but especially what's going on with COVID, people are going to use that as a pretense to say they don't have any money. Now, we live in societies and we live in cultures and nations where you have such things as benefits. You're not living in, when it says to give alms, it's talking about giving alms to people who are truly poor, because back then you didn't have no benefits. You didn't have homeless shelters and stuff like that. So when people were poor, they were poor. And what does it say? There's a scripture where it says that thou shalt not. There's a scripture. Yeah, Psalm 37, 25. King James Version. I have been young and now I'm old, yet have I not seen righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. So you really have to think to yourself when you see these people, these so-called Jakes and these so-called E's asking you for money, whether or not they're righteous, because I've been homeless. I've had all types of calamities and situations fall upon me, and I've never begged anyone for anything. The only time I can remember begging for something was one time I asked a Jake for 10p because I needed to top up. In the UK you have something called an Oyster card. I needed 10p because I was like 10p short to top up my Oyster card so I could make my journey home, because certain times I don't even carry money with me because I know if I do I'll end up spending it. And I asked him for 10p and he was like, that's like a quarter, and he was like, no, I don't have it. And I was like, alright, cool. And I was just looking flummoxed and lost, and he ended up giving me the 10p. That's the only time I can actually remember begging from a stranger, asking for a stranger. I don't like, or when I used to smoke weed, I might ask for a cigarette or a chip so I can make my spliff. But it's not that deep. I'm not going around asking people for money, man. But you see these begging ass people, they'll be coming up to you and they'll be asking you for money. I had a dude come up to me the other day and he asked me for £1, and I gave him the £1. But before I gave him the £1, I had to go into my bag and I'd put my money change in my bag basically. So I had all this change. I had 2p's, 10p's, 20p's, pounds, £2, whatever. I just had a whole bunch of change. So I had to bring it out to see what was £1 and what was not. As soon as he saw I had a bag of change, he was like, "Oh, I beg you give me more change. I'm hungry." And I was like, "You asked for £1. You know what I mean?" Like, I gave him £1, and when he was saying, "I beg you," I was like, "Bruv, get a job, bruv. Because I'm not asking you for money. You asked for £1, I've given you £1, and you want to ask more." And that's Jake, man. Jake's a friggin' supplanter, you know what I mean? Like, he probably on benefits. He's probably spending his money on drugs and all that kind of stuff. And now you want to go around asking people for money, And I don't even have a spirit where I want to be mean to people. But it's like people keep asking me for money, and I keep giving them money. And I'm like, well, I've just given away 10, £20 in change to these people. There was even one time I was walking past a woman. I always used to walk past her, but because she wasn't a Jake, I never gave her no money. And one time I was walking past her, I just bought something. I had like 20p in my pocket. She asked me for a change. I gave her the 20p. And she didn't say thank you or nothing. She just looked at me like 20p. And then from there, I was like, you know what? It's like certain times I'll give people money and then I have a bad experience, and I'm like, I don't even want to give these people are heathens, man. They're not even grateful. I remember one time I come in a shop, and a Jake was there, and Elam, he was buying something from Elam, and I think it was like 10p short, so I put 20p down, or 11p short, whatever it was. I've put 20p down so he could buy his thing, because I was like, oh, he's short out here, here's 20p, and he just looked at me and he just walked out, no thank you, no nothing, so you have to be very careful when you give people money, because a lot of the times people are not even grateful for that. And I'm going to talk about more than one thing here. If you're watching this is The Godfather, he talks about keeping your enemies close. You keep your friends close but your enemies closer, which is bullcrap.
My father taught me many things here. He taught me in this room. He taught me, keep your friends close but your enemies closer.
Now that's E. E keeps you close to him, and he's your damn enemy, and he keeps you as close as possible. You want to invite him to the cookout, so to speak. This man don't care nothing about you. Why would you want to be close to your enemy knowing he's trying to supplant you and usurp you? Because that's his mindset. And that goes opposite to the scriptures, because if you read the scriptures in Ecclesiasticus 6:13, separate thyself from thine enemies and take heed of thy friends. So the scriptures tell you to keep your friends close and your enemies far from you. But he likes to keep his enemies close. Why? He likes to keep you Jakes close to him so he can exploit you. You know what I mean? And usurp you. And if you look into I'm gonna go through Ecclesiasticus chapter 13, and this is from the Apocrypha. When thou wilt do good to whom thou doest it, so shalt thou be thanked for thy benefits. So when you do good to somebody, they're grateful, that they thank you for your benefits. Not like that stupid old Jet, and I keep seeing him, he's a degenerate, man. I can just tell he's a degenerate. Somebody give you money and you're not even thankful. Even that beggar who asked me for more change when I gave him £1, he even said thank you, even though I cussed him out. I said, well, why don't you get a job? But he was like, you know what, thank you for the £1. So at least I didn't feel too bad about that, even though it kind of pissed me off, because it's like all this week I keep seeing people are times are hard, and I don't even mind if I got change, I'll give it to you. But a lot of the times when you help people, it's not really to their benefit, and they should be in a situation where they should be able to help. I mean, how you getting benefits and you're still asking for money? Do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find recompense, and if not from him, yet from the Most High. So when you do good to somebody, he's grateful for it, and he'll return the favor, and if not, the Most High will give you a benefit from that. But when you help an evildoer, you don't get any benefit from it. All you do is get vexed in the spirit, because you can see these people are not righteous in their walk and how they carry themselves. There can no good come to him that is always occupied in evil, nor to him that giveth no alms. So we're supposed to give alms when we can to people that we know are good and righteous. I had some Jake coming up to me, he's smoking a cigarette, and he was like, oh, you got change, boss. Like, no, if you're not good to yourself, who are you gonna be good for? To who is evil to himself, to who will he be good? So you don't even care about your own body. You're destroying your own body, and yet you want to ask me for change to do what? To go buy more cigarettes? Or are you going to buy food? So you want to buy food, but yet you're spending your money on cigarettes. That makes sense to you? Give to the godly man and help not a sinner. So when these people, because it's going to happen more and more with these jobs, people losing their jobs and all that kind of stuff. People are going to be asking people for this and that. You really have to be able to discern through somebody's countenance what kind of person they are. Do you really want to help them? Because it said, you've never seen a righteous begging bread. What man who has any pride in his life is going to go and ask another man for something? And we all know, the Most High is going to keep, his elect healthy throughout this whole process. So they're not going to be out begging. People are just going to have the spirit on them to just give them things. They're not necessarily going to have to ask or beg for it. Do well to him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread, and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby, for else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto him. Just like that Jake. I gave him, and it wasn't a lot. It was only 10p. He needed change, and I gave him 10p, and he just stared at me, not a thank you, no acknowledgement that And it's not like that's what I wanted, but it's like if somebody holds the door open for you, just say thank you out of respect. You can see these people. This is why it says you know and I'm paraphrasing the scripture here. Basically people are waxing gross. People don't even like each other right now. There's no real level of camaraderie, of community spirit. You can just see the evil spirits on people, where people don't even want to be respectful to people. No, I'm just gonna make this here. Never trust thy enemy. I'm kind of making 2 points. Never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rust absurd is wickedness. So this is the whole point of trying to keep your enemies close. You want to be as far away from these people as possible. You know what I mean? Because when something happens to you, it's gonna be your fault. Because this is a Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, and this is 13. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a snake, or any such as come nigh wild beast? Just like that lion queen woman. If the lion attacked her, even though the lion was looking at her like she was bugged out, you wouldn't have pitied her, because you would have been thinking, why is she going to the cage of the lion in the first place? When these animals charge at E and breaks E off, you don't feel pity for E, because you're thinking to yourself, why is he bothering the animals? If you're a snake charmer, you take a snake out of the wild and you put it in a bag or in a hat, and you play your little tune to make it rise up and it bites you. No one with any sense is gonna pity you, because you've taken that animal out of his natural habitat to basically abuse it. You're not gonna feel pity for somebody who tries to help somebody who's ungrateful. You know what I mean? That's gonna be your own fault. So you have to be very careful about these people, especially in the times that we're coming in. And so one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? That's why you're not supposed to be joined unto E. You want to be as far away from these people as feasibly possible, man. Apart from the fact that you might have to go work and all of this other stuff. For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head, clap his hands, and whisper much, and change his countenance. And I know through all of this, through hanging around E, when I was going to university, you know what I mean? I had this teacher. He was definitely E. He'd act all high and mighty. I remember there was one time when there was a fire alarm, and I was the first back into the classroom for the fire alarm, just because of I don't really like being in crowds, so I tried to maneuver around crowds or get around crowds. So I ended up getting to the classroom first, because I wasn't really hanging around in large crowds. He couldn't even stand in the room with me. Like, his spirit was just so adverse to mine. He couldn't stand in the same room with me, man. And he knew what spirit I had on him, just like I knew what spirit I had on me. You know what I mean? Like, I'd get up from the table, I'd leave my desk clean, I'd put the chair underneath. All these other dirty ass people, they just leave their chair in the middle of the room. I mean, who the hell leaves a chair in the middle of the room? You know what I mean? They'd use a desk or something, they leave all the crap lying around. Like, these people had no decorum, man. That's what I'm saying. These people are just a bunch of heathens in how they move and how they behave, man. You can just see from how they treat each other, how they treat their own belongings, that they're not right in the head, man. And you know that demons love filthy environments. You're not gonna be a so-called righteous or godly person. You're gonna live in your own filth, man. I can go into certain people's houses, I just see bugs, just dirt, rotten food, and you just know they're not in the right mind. And that's just how he is. Same way you can tell from the countenance of these people when they're coming up to you smoking a cigarette. Don't pity them. There's this other homeless dude. I always see him all the time, and I see him buy a beer or two, but it's not really much. Every now and again I throw him a pound. I don't really feel vexed in my spirit when I help him, but at the same time I look at him and I think to myself, why are you in this situation? Because he a Jake, but when he opens his mouth, he sound like he E. he got a kind of E spirit on him, but he's not filthy like everybody else, so I don't really mind him so much. And that's pretty much it, you know. Shalom Sabbat. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who rule well. Shalom to the hopefully elect. All praises to the Most High Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai.